Welcome to Invest Out West podcast. I'm Nat Micken.
And I'm Carlia Micken. We are a husband and wife team who live and invest in Western Queensland.
Join us on our journey of creating passive income through mindset, business, crypto, and property investing. Welcome to Invest Out West episode number 52.
The quote we'd like to leave with today comes from Francis Bacon, where he says, "Money is a good servant, but a poor master."
Yeah, so we've just been to the 2025 crypto convention in Sydney. So that was on over the weekend, and this is Monday that we're recording this. We've only got our little travel microphones, so quality won't be all that good. But yeah, crypto convention done and dusted for this year. Last year we sort of said that when we were there at the convention last year, we said we probably wouldn't go back this year because like the thought on the street was that the crypto market was going to be topped out, and we're all sort of going to have cashed out by then, like by this time of the year. And we said, well, there's probably not a lot of point going back, but as anybody knows that has been following the crypto market for all of this year, nothing has really sort of gone to plan for any of it. So we decided to go back again, mainly just to try and figure out where we are in the cycle, because there's so much confusion about where we are and about where the crypto market is going. And so yeah, we sort of figured out that pretty much everybody else was thinking the same things, as that they were there just to try to understand where we were in the cycle as well. So what was your takeaway from the whole thing, really?
Yeah, well, the vibe of the convention was actually a bit surprising. We were sort of going there expecting it to be a little bit flat, and for people to be, over the whole crypto market as it stands today. But it wasn't really like that. Everyone was still fairly energized for the cryptocurrency market as it stands. And I think that's sort of, that's sort of what the emotional education that we've taken on over the last few years that we've been in crypto is that you become emotionally detached. The crypto market is what it is, and we're just here for the ride. And I think that was the main sentiment of the whole convention, is that crypto still has a place absolutely in everybody's portfolio, and it's just doing its thing, and we're the ones who have to be respectful as such to the market that it is, and embrace it for what it is. So yes, I think that was a big takeaway, is that the sentiment at the convention itself was still had that energetic vibe to it. It wasn't flat, but people were still there because of our passion and our deep connection that we have with cryptocurrency.
I'd sort of say, like, to me, the mood was upbeat but confused. That's sort of probably how I'd sum it up, really. Like a lot of the keynote, like what I found this time is that all the keynote talks, there was more people than ever in the keynote talks this time, because I think, like us, we were just everybody was just trying to sort of understand where we are, because I think, like us, everybody was there just to try to get that bit of information, because nobody really knows like what is going on this cycle.
Like the people at the convention was just phenomenal. Like it was by far the biggest yet. There was no way, like in the alleyways between all the stallholders, you were just shoulder to shoulder. You couldn't walk fast. You couldn't even get through. You couldn't move. Like the people in there was just absolutely phenomenal. And like Nat said, if you weren't early to a keynote, like to a speaker session, then you might as well forget it, because there was no way that they would let you in to find a seat. And so it was just packed to the rafters. It was just proper pumping.
Yeah, there was one that I tried to get into, and I got there like probably 10 minutes early, and was just shoulder to shoulder, like probably 6 wide going through the gate, and they pulled us up and said no more come in. That was sort of like right in front of me where we got stopped. And I sort of looked back behind me, and there were probably about 15 behind me, like 6 or 8 wide, like lined up at the door. And we just stood there, just trying to, like, we all just stood there quiet, just listening, just listening from the doorway, because it was the only chance you had of listening to that talk. The big theme that I really found about the whole convention was that we need to hold more Bitcoin. Is that what you sort of found as well?
Yeah, that's right. So everyone was saying that Bitcoin is the benchmark. If we're not aligning our portfolio to be in line with Bitcoin, then there's absolutely no point in being in crypto as such. They made it very clear in nearly every keynote that we were at that if you've got altcoins in your portfolio and Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins, so the altcoins aren't doing better than Bitcoin, then there's absolutely no purpose at all in holding them altcoins. And that was the biggest theme of the cryptocurrency market, was how much Bitcoin have you got in your portfolio. And it was quite, I guess, ironical. At one of the keynotes that we were at, the speaker said, he asked 3 questions. The first one was, who owns Bitcoin only? And nobody stuck their hand up. And the next question was, who owns Bitcoin and altcoins? And majority of people stuck their hand up. And the third question was, who owns altcoins only? And there were quite a few in the room who actually put their hand up. And those who hold altcoins only, of course, are feeling the biggest pain, because Bitcoin has been the only thing that's held up relatively well throughout this bull cycle that we're supposed to be in. The main message from a lot of the keynotes was you need to hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the benchmark, and if you haven't got Bitcoin in your portfolio, then you're doing something wrong. And we heard a lot, and we hear this a lot too outside of the crypto convention with the other crypto content that we follow, is that most people will get into altcoins purely to make a profit on them, to then put them profits back into Bitcoin. Everyone is about stacking Bitcoin. Everyone is fighting for 21 million pieces of Bitcoin in a population of 8 billion people. And yeah, that was the biggest thing, is how much Bitcoin do you have and how much Bitcoin are you trying to get? Yeah.
I really noticed the difference between last crypto convention and this one is that, like, last cycle, because we were supposed to go into the alt season last cycle, it was all about, how much altcoins do you have? It was sort of considered a waste of time to be in Bitcoin. Really, a lot of the mood at the last convention was that, you're just in Bitcoin, you're wasting your time. Whereas this time, it was more a case of how much Bitcoin have you got to try and keep on top of your losses, sort of thing. That was definitely the theme I found, and it was even like some of the keynotes were saying, some of the speakers were even saying, I'm a Bitcoin maxi after this last 12 months, and I think that everybody is starting to feel a bit that way, and it's I take my hat off to the Bitcoin maxis that have held that view all the way through. They're sort of like, well, I told you so. I've talked before on the podcast about a neighbor that we've got who is a proper hardcore Bitcoin maxi, and I've sort of really started to understand where he's coming from now, because of what we've gone through over the last 12 months. And I think everybody that's in the crypto space is starting to realize the same thing. They're like, yeah, okay, I think we've sort of missed something about the importance of Bitcoin. And there were some of the keynotes and that. Well, even Raoul Pal, he was probably the highlight of the whole convention for me. He wasn't there in person, but he was just beamed in on the big screen, and there was like a fireside chat with him, and that was packed out. I think that room hold 1,000.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. It was over 1,000 attendees in the keynote speaker room.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was just
it was just packed. Yeah, we made sure we got there like about it was more than half an hour early. We got in there so that we could make sure we got a seat, and it was just packed. But yeah, he was saying the same thing. He said there's Bitcoin and then there's smart contracts, and that's pretty much what it is, really. Another one, someone else said in another one of the other speakers said, altcoins are for investment opportunities and Bitcoin is a store of wealth. And I think that's something that really everybody there was on board with, really, because I don't really think that anybody is seeing altcoins anymore as a store of wealth. Even Ethereum, I was a bit surprised that Ethereum wasn't really talked up as much as what it has been in the past. It was really just Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. That was sort of the theme that I sort of went away with.
There was absolutely no discussions on altcoins whatsoever. Like usually you'd go in there and they'd be all talk about the likes of Solana and Cardano and Dogecoin and these sort of, the altcoins as such that are within, the top, 20 to 50 coins, but there was just nothing. It was no discussion whatsoever of how you could allocate these different cryptocurrencies to your portfolio. Like at the previous crypto conventions that we've been to, they're always talking about, altcoins and what they can do and how they're decentralizing everything and how you can build a portfolio based on altcoins. But now it just wasn't even mentioned. We hardly heard the words, Solana, for example, because Solana is a massive altcoin and it was hardly even spoken of.
Yeah. A lot of the times I found that somebody had mentioned altcoins, it was then a discussion of, so how much are you down, sort of thing. It was like, can I find somebody here that's not down on their altcoins as much as I am, sort of thing. That was sort of like the feeling I got, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things that they kept saying about the market that we're currently in, because we're supposed to be, like as Nat said at the start of the podcast, we're supposed to be past all-time highs. We're supposed to be, moving, getting ready for a next bear market to roll in next year. But that they're all saying that all that we've seen throughout this market for the last sort of three or so years is that we've taken the stairs upwards and then we've taken the elevator back down, because just in the last week alone we've seen a massive, like a proper dinky die pullback in the cryptocurrency market. It was quite comical. All the speakers had all of their presentations and their slideshows prepared, and they were way out because the market collapsed from, like, Bitcoin was hovering like around 110,000 US dollars, and it collapsed down. It actually hit 80,000 US dollars, and so all their slides were way out of whack because of the massive crash that happened a few days leading up to it. And it was precisely what they were saying about this, how we've taken the stairs up and then all of a sudden we reached a certain point and we had the elevator back down, and that's exactly what it's been. Like, we crashed up to 30% each time, and that's exactly what we've seen. And people were saying too how many coins in their portfolio have now lost over 50% of their value, and we're in the exact same boat. And I think that was one of the biggest comforts from the crypto convention, was to know that, well, hey, we're not alone in this.
Not alone.
Anybody that holds altcoins, their portfolio is down regardless of who they are or how much money they actually put into it. This is what I sort of keep saying. Like, the mood was definitely different this time around compared to last time. It was sort of more like I've sort of found that probably last time was more offense rather than this time being more defense. This time was sort of more defense in like, how can we sort of protect our losses in the future, like moving forward. We're sort of using this as a bit of a learning curve, I suppose, really. Yeah, I think the whole year's been a learning curve, really, because it's not just what we've learned at the crypto convention, but what we've been watching the whole time, because this is the first cycle that we've seen these massive institutions come into the cryptocurrency market. And of course, they play a major part because they're dealing with such big bags all the time, flowing in and out, especially of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it was spoken quite a bit at the crypto convention that institutions are no longer saying if they should have Bitcoin as part of their offering brings, part of their portfolio, part of their bags. But it's a case of how much should they allocate, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And it's a bit sad, I guess, in one sense, because the average Joe Blow, the likes of you and me, are struggling to, I guess, get into the market. And yet here are these institutions, the likes of BlackRock, Grayscale, Fidelity, these ones that are really starting to embrace, Bitcoin for what it is. They're the ones who are scraping up this investment opportunity, but by the billions, and here we are struggling to see light. But I think that's a real mindset lesson that we have to learn, is that if the institutions are willing to invest in it, then why aren't we, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, might just get on a bit about Raoul Pal, what he was talking about. Like I said, that was a really big highlight for me, and I think a lot of people were, just looking at how packed the room was when he was there on the big screen. He talked about the question was sort of asked him, like, where are we and where are we going, that sort of thing, and there's probably not many that could really not really have there's not many others that have the authority as he does to talk on the subject, I suppose. And he said, we need more money in the system. That's basically all he could put it down to, is we really can't go anywhere until there's more money in the system. And what he was sort of meaning was we need more rate cuts, need more rate cuts in the US before that money is really going to be able to flow. And he said nothing's really going to happen this year. He can only see it early next year before it's really going to take off, and that's sort of in line with other people that I've been following. That's really what they've been saying as well, is that we've really got to forget this year. Even TradFi is really saying the same thing. Like, after the sort of bit of a shake-up that's gone on probably for the last month or so, even in TradFi, they're saying the same thing. We're probably not really going to see much for the rest of this year, simply because there's not enough runway left in this year for it to gain much momentum. And so he's just thinking, early next year, sort of first half of next year, it'll top out. And so he's sort of saying, just hold. And he's saying, even like for your altcoins and everything, he said, just hold. Just don't go and do anything at the moment.
Yeah, and so it makes perfect sense as to why he's saying that, about the rest of this year being pretty well non-existent from an investment point of view, purely because you think of the US, and this is what he was saying, they've got Thanksgiving coming up, they've got Christmas, they've got the whole holiday season, and so people aren't looking to invest their money at this time of the year because it's such a big spendathon. At this time of the year, people have spent all of their excess money, and so they're not looking to invest. So that's why it makes perfect sense, that for the last 2 months of the year, that the markets are flatlining, because there simply is no liquidity flowing into it.
Because like when you actually look at what the markets are doing, so like the TradFi markets are doing, especially like say the Mag 7 and stuff like that. Like, if you're only looking at that, you'd say, man, that the economy is just going great guns. But when you actually look at the behind the scenes data, you realize how bad the world economy, and especially the US economy, is not real good. And so that's why there is so much push for rate cuts, because there's sort of like this tale of two there's sort of two stories going on at the moment. There's the Mag 7 story, and then there's the person on the street story, and they're vastly different. And it's all very well to say, oh, well, look at the markets. That's why there doesn't really, there's no real need for rate cuts. But when you actually look at the data that's coming out of the US on like house repossessions and car repossessions, they're just at stupid levels. And that's showing you that it isn't very good. Like the economy isn't very good for the average mum and dad type investor and consumer. So it's definitely something to really consider, because if the average mum and dad investor / consumer doesn't even have money to pay their car repayments or their house repayments, then how are they ever going to be able to find money to just throw it at altcoins, which that's what we're all waiting for, is for alt season to materialize, and basically that's why it hasn't happened.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And the other thing that was a really good point that was made, and it just gives context as to how, I guess, how small the Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem is compared to the wealth around the world. The global debt market, this was what we were told at the convention, that the global debt market is approximately 330 trillion. This is US dollars, 330 trillion. The Bitcoin market itself is 2 trillion, and the crypto market overall is about 3 trillion. So if you compare that in relevance, 3 trillion of crypto compared to 300 trillion in debt, we're just a drop in the ocean. And so there was a lot of, I guess, a lot of inspiration to share from that, to say, well, look, we're still early days. Like what is going to come, when we're such small fry, so to speak, at the moment.
Yeah. Another thing I just wanted to share, one of the keynotes that I attended, I don't think you were there, but there was somebody on the stage, I forget who it was, but he just he explained how the capitalization rate sort of works, and how the money flowing into an asset works. And I've never heard it explained so simply. And so I just wanted to share it here. So he said, say you bought Bitcoin you bought a full Bitcoin at $10,000, and then you go and sell it at $100,000. So the new buyer needs to come to the table with an extra $90,000. So this is why prices just can't keep going up forever, because of the extra money that's got to be taken from somewhere else in a person's life. That money has to come from another area to then go into that asset that they're buying. So this is why things just don't keep going up, because of that extra money that has to be brought to the table every time an asset is bought and sold. So I just wanted to really share that, because I'd never heard never sort of heard it put in such simple terms. Do you have anything more?
No, like you say, I wasn't there, but it's a very, very clear concept, that you've got to have give and take. You can't sell something if there's no buyers, you can't buy something if there's no sellers. And so it's just a really clear concept to grasp about how the liquidity flows.
So I was quite surprised really with the whole mood at the crypto convention. We sort of went there thinking, is anybody ever going to turn up? That's, we had been so, I guess, so depressed with the way our bags have looked over the last month, I suppose.
It's the worst it's ever been. This week is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah. Like when you look at the fear and greed index, like it's sitting at just incredible lows, and nobody's really got any confidence. Even like a lot of the influencers and that we follow, they've been upbeat the whole way through, but I've just noticed, like, sort of in the last probably 2 weeks, they've really started to get a bit rattled, really, because like how can you not when things are just like we're getting no signs of turnaround. Like there's always big crashes and that in the crypto space, but usually you'll get some sign of a green shoot somewhere that you can say, oh yeah, we're right. But this time around, like when we're supposed to be still in the bull market, that's what's sort of starting to rattle everybody. Is the big question is, are we topped yet? And most people in the crypto space for the first little while of this last probably month or 6 weeks have been saying, no, we're not topped yet. It's all good. It's only up from here, and then you get up the next day and it's dropped again, and they say the same thing, and then you just keep doing that over and over every day until eventually everybody starts to look at each other and saying, are we topped yet, or where are we? And that's what I found, that was the big question on everybody's lips. And like I said before, that's why we went this time. This time around, we'd only made the decision to go to the convention only the last probably 6 weeks or so ourselves. Just to try to get some information on where we are in the cycle, because nobody knows. And I found that everybody there at the convention was there for the same reason, really.
They'd often ask the question in the keynote speakers in the sessions, who thinks the market is like has turned, so flipped from from bull to bear. And actually a few hands would go up. A few people at the convention are thinking that the market has topped. So
it's already behind us.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what really comes. I mean, we're on the other side. We're sort of still thinking that there's still more room to run, and that's sort of what our coaches are also telling us. They still believe that there is still room to run, but I guess it's just a wait and see game now. Get through this whole holiday season, the Christmas period, and see what flows into next year. Yeah.
Well, the way I sort of see it is like you've got to start to ask yourself like the serious question, and you need to honestly ask, do I think it's still like yet to top because that is what I believe, or because that is what I want to believe? Because like most of everybody in the crypto space, like we've thrown huge amounts of money at it, and to see it all go down, it's easy to sort of say, I believe that we're still yet to top, because that's what you want to believe. And it's good to sort of sit back and say, okay, I need to be very honest with myself here and ask the big question: do I really think that the top is in front of us or behind us? And you need to really ask that question without thinking about the amounts of investments that you've got riding on that answer, really.
And like, irregardless of what really happens, but we're still crypto maxis, full stop. We have no doubt, of the wealth that can come through cryptocurrency and the way it can change people's lives. It's just a question of this cycle, where do we stand? Yeah. But long term, still very, very
long term, and that's what I found. A lot of people had the same idea. They were, those that you just mentioned, that their hands would shoot up saying, "Yep, we've already topped for this cycle." But they'd say, I'm still in the market long term, and that's I find that was the big shift from last year to this year, is that the mood there last year was, we've only probably got another 6 months, 6 to 8 months left in this market before we're all going to cash out and we're all going to be driving Lamborghinis. Sort of, that was the mood last time, whereas this time it was more a case of, I don't think we've topped, but if we have, then I'm just going to have to sit and wait for next cycle. That was sort of the mood from a lot of people, I found.
And just a final thought from me myself was something that was shared, quite a bit, and of course we believe in it, being investors, and that's the thought that investing is no longer optional but necessary. So regardless about what the market is doing, ultimately our investments, if we have the right strategy in place, our investments will grow, and that's from my perspective, investments are still, especially into crypto, are still a major part of our portfolio, and from my perspective, they're very necessary.
Yeah, it definitely is, because fiat currency, like, you can't rely on that. Like, a lot of the information that I've been studying, that we're probably going to see the demise of the American dollar, like the US dollar, by about 2030. So, we haven't got long really to get our ducks in a row with our investments. And I think that's one of the reasons why there was such a big push on Bitcoin this time, is because a lot of people are starting to see what is coming with the inevitable collapse of fiat currencies, because we're past the 50-year mark with the US dollar as a fiat system. And so rarely in the world's history has a currency ever lasted past 50 years as a fiat currency without being backed by gold or something. So that is definitely, I think, why a lot of people are really starting to focus on Bitcoin as well, is because they know that really altcoins are going to be useless in that crash, and it's really only going to be Bitcoin that's going to come out the other side better off than before, I suppose. So that was it just keeps coming back to the theme really of that. Buy more Bitcoin. That was the theme of the whole convention. And as an investment and as a store of wealth, because it's really the only one that has proved that can be relied on in this over this last year, I suppose. So. Do you have any more thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I'm pretty well done. Yeah, but no, I don't think too much more to add here.
Yeah. The only thing I'll just finish up with is that one of the speakers there said crypto is pretty much the only industry where you can wake up on Monday morning feeling like a genius, and by Thursday morning start to question everything. So that definitely pretty much sums up this whole year, really. It's just been an emotional rollercoaster ride, just backwards and forwards every week. There's just, and that's why it's very important to keep on top of your emotions in this space. And it's a very good form of discipline even to be in this space, really, because only those that can survive the emotional rollercoaster that have put the time into themselves and into their mindset, and they're the only ones that survive, really. So, I think we'll wrap up at that. I just wanted to, just to talk a bit about our experiences at the 2025 crypto convention and what the mood was like there, and so no, it's we're still very much involved heavily in the crypto space. We've got no plans yet of getting out anytime soon. It's especially for Bitcoin, it's just a case of gathering more Bitcoin, really. That's our big focus. So we'll leave this one here and keep living the dream.